listening to No Limits, episode 145. And on this episode, I'm back. Bree's gone. Sam is split custody. Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I'm joined by my co-host Sam. You're listening to No Limits, a PlayStation podcast, episode 145. Remember, you can find the video version of this pod over on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia every single Tuesday. And, well, it's not every single at this point, but most Tuesdays. While you're over there, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you would rather listen to audio, we are on all your favorite podcast services, and we would love it if you could leave us a review. It helps us grow, and we would love any feedback. If you want to support us and get early access to all Save the Game Media content, head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia and choose the tier that's right for you. Just like our current patrons did, Alpaca Tom, Fabulous Brianna, Brandon's Mom, Nikolai Knight, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, David Hotwright, Dave Hart, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Lee Navarro, Sol Cannon, Rick Davis, Todd Oxtra, Brandon. Also, please interact with us in the Discord. Links are all in the show notes. What are you doing, Sam?
What am I doing? I'm sitting here. That's what I'm doing.
I said, how are you doing, Sam?
Well, that changes the context entirely, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty good. I've had a somewhat restless night for shall we say global reasons.
Oh, really? That kept you up all night?
Well, yeah, because we don't have to get into it, but the news broke.
The U.S. bombed Iran
early hours of the morning.
For context, it is June 22nd,
and the news broke as I was about to go to sleep. So I was like, well, I kind of have to. I'm up, so I might as well stick with it for at least a little bit, just to see what the initial comments are and things like that.
Wrong step, first step.
So yeah, I was up for another few hours after that. But no, powering on regardless. I took a trip out to the multiplex this morning.
Multiplex?
Yeah.
Multiplex. Oh, that's a British movie theater.
Yeah.
What film did you see?
28 Years Later.
Right. I never saw 28 Days. I probably should see both of those now, huh?
I mean, I think they're great. Well, 28 Days Later is the thing that revived the zombie genre. Introduced fast zombies, things like that.
Oh, wait, there's also 28 Days? I didn't know there was a first one.
Yeah, 28 Days is the first one, and then 28 Weeks Later is the sequel. 28 Weeks Later isn't as good, but it's not by the original writer or director, whereas this new one is. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will tell you, I won't spoil it, but the final 2 or 3 minutes of 28 Years Later is probably without question the biggest curveball that I've ever seen in a film. I'm still processing it hours after the movie ended. I'm sort of trying to figure out how I feel and what it means. I also wonder how well that particular scene is going to register outside of the UK. Because obviously 28 years later, it's about a zombie virus, but it's specifically quarantined to just the United Kingdom. So it's a very British set of films. And there is a reference, shall we say, in these final couple of minutes of the new film that is so out of nowhere and is such a tonal shift for the film that I'm still flabbergasted.
Okay.
But it's a bold choice. I'll put it that way.
So let's see, 28 days.
Yep.
28. There's 28 days.
Yep.
28 days later.
No. 28 days later is the first film. Then 28 weeks later.
Wait, I thought there's a film called 28 Days with no later in it.
Well, maybe, but it's not related to this at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 28 days, then weeks, then now years later. Yeah, so I enjoyed that. And that's how I'm doing. I'm tired and I'm processing something that I can't even believe I really just saw. Because I can't believe that I just saw it.
Fair enough, Sam.
Yeah. How are you?
You know me. Work's been tough this week. Long hours, stressful stuff at work. So I just didn't really do much yesterday. Because I'm like, I need to recover. And then I need to work a little bit, a few hours after we record today. I get paid, but, I don't like working on the weekend, Sam.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen. And yeah. Yesterday was just a tough day, man. Then I went to the gym and then I felt better after. But before that, not a very fun time. Just tired, burnout. Didn't really want to do anything.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But then I went to the gym and then I felt empowered.
Good.
Without being corny about it. And then I played some Mario Kart and with Locklith and her community. Shout out Locklith.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went grocery shopping at 8 p.m. And certainly was a day yesterday, Sam.
Certainly was.
Then I got some really uplifting news about some U.S. activity overseas, and that was great. I'm being sarcastic, guys. Calm down.
No.
And yeah, and I wasn't here last week. What did I do last week, Sam? I don't know what I did last week.
That's okay. Never mind. It didn't happen.
And you weren't here last week either, were you?
No, we
we skipped
a hiatus because it was Father's Day. So
right, we took a hernia. Yeah.
Schedules couldn't quite sync up for that to work out, but here we are. We're back.
Did you celebrate your father?
No. We burned him at the stake.
Okay. The Witch Part 2. Here we go.
Amen.
I've never seen The Witch.
It's good.
Yeah, Robert Eggs. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's quite how you say his last name, but
Egg. He calls himself the Eggman.
That I'm also not confident on. Because that would be Dr. Robotnik.
They're the same thing.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Eggman is Dr. Robotnik, so I don't think Robert Eggers is Dr. Robotnik. Because that's clearly Jim Carrey.
But he's Eggman. He is canonically Eggman, Sam. Egg is in his name and he's a man. Robert Eggers is Eggman. It's not under my control what people will call Dr. Robotnik as his nickname.
To make you happy, sure.
All right, and that's why you're here, to make me happy. Yep.
That's right. That's right. What else do I do?
No, nothing. Nope.
Yeah. All right.
No. Thanks, Sam. No. What are you even playing, Sam?
Oh,
cool.
What have I been playing?
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Cool.
I've done here and there over the past 2 weeks a little bit of split fiction.
Oh, with who? Who's the lucky person?
Brie, she specifically asked.
That's awesome.
Because I think she had it already, and just hadn't gotten around to it. And when we were talking about starting it, we just finished Returnal, so I was sort of like, why not? I didn't have to buy the game to play it. So,
yeah.
But we're nowhere near done, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
I've been playing a little bit of FBC Firebreak.
All right.
Yeah, I've been playing that with Kev. I mean, it's not fantastic, but like it's a good time. We're having fun every time we're playing it. Jump in a Discord voice chat and just make some of your own fun whilst you're going through and sort of rinse repeating the same objectives. And they just put out a patch that like massively overhauled the progression, so it's like way faster, way more streamlined. You keep unlocking things far more frequently, and that's made it more fun, in my opinion, obviously. So kudos to Remedy for acting fast on that, because I think that as much as there is a lack of like actual meaningful content to play, a barrier in terms of your progression was like, you're adding insult to injury there. So at least they're making progression easy. Is there anything else I've been playing? Unfortunately for IGN, I am having, over the past week, been having to play Roblox, Taylor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sam, welcome to hell. You're in it.
Yeah. I mean, they said like there's if there's a very big like passive like garden growing game where you grow different fruits and vegetables and you sell them, and it's like a economy thing where you're buying new seeds that rotate in and out of shops, and a whole lot of updates and live events and stuff. It's a very big deal in terms of like player count. I think at one point it passed 40 million players active at one time, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't say I'm having any fun at all covering it. So that's nearing its completion, at least. It was a sort of very bare bones thing that I had to do, but far more time consuming than I was initially expecting. I don't think I've played anything else. I may have ticked off some Rise of the Golden Idol DLC over the past couple of weeks, if I remember correctly. But other than that, Taylor, I'm just waiting for Death Stranding 2. 2 days away, time of recording.
Oh my God, no, it isn't.
I got that early access.
Sam, I started it, I swear.
That's more than I was expecting, Taylor.
I didn't start it.
Oh.
I got my Switch too, and I've been, well, let me segue. Good for you, Sam. Not so great for Roblox, but good for you, Sam.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've just been playing Mario Kart past couple weeks off and on.
Hell yeah.
Mario Kart World, Sam. As time goes on, I switched to. It's cool. It's hip. It's new. That's a reference to, was it Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3, where Sam Raimi had a line that was similar to that. It was his brother saying, oh yeah, Spider-Man Raimi. It's hip. He's hip. He's now. He's wow. Yeah. You remember the scene?
They were on fire writing that in the script.
Where does he? Wait, which? Yeah, it was Spider-Man. I think it was Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, that makes
It's
even more
hip, it's
sense.
wow, it's now, and how. Of course.
Oof.
Harold is his brother's name, right? Harry?
That sounds right.
Sam Raimi, bro. No, it's Ted Raimi, my bad. That was Ted Raimi.
Mm.
Yeah, so Mario Switch 2, Sam. It's hip, it's wow, it's now, and how. Right? That's it's an upgraded Switch 1. I could have waited a year, but I'm not rolling the dice on tariffs. That's the only reason I got a Switch 2 right now. I'm serious.
Fair.
So I got the bundle because I'm like, well, I'm gonna get Mario Kart eventually for the system. I could pay $50 for it now without tax, or $80 without tax, later.
Mm.
At the expense of it being digital now. But I've conceded on modern consoles to the digital world, I think.
No.
Except for, no, I back that up. First party Nintendo games on Switch and Switch 2, I still get physical because it's all in the cartridge, and that's a big thing for me. For me, the price difference Mario Kart wasn't worth it. The premium wasn't worth it. It's I don't know if you've heard much about this one, Sam. It's all the courses are connected. So when you're doing a Grand Prix, you're only actually ever doing quote unquote one lap of a course itself. The other two laps are you, assuming it's not the first course in the cup, you traveling to the next course in the world. And that makes up a portion of the race. So let's say my first race is Mario Circuit, my second race is Moo Moo Meadows. I have to spend time, 2 laps, I think, traveling from Mario Circuit to Moo Moo Meadows before I'm fully in Moo Moo Meadows.
Interesting.
But if you pick a versus race, like if you go online and you're just picking courses, or if you do a versus race offline, you're picking courses, then you do 3 laps of the course isolated like you would in a normal Mario Kart. And there's different routes going from there's 40 courses, and going from course 3 to course 1 is a whole different path than going from like course 4 to course 3. And so the point is there's a lot of different permutations of races that you can play in the Mario Kart world, which I think, frankly, from like a casual, I'll call myself a light, sweaty person when it comes to Mario Kart. I like trying to 3-star what I can and beating the staff time trials, but I'm not out here trying to get the max online rank. I'm not trying to go for the world record time trials, nothing like that. It's like the most varied Mario Kart in terms of replayability that I've played in my lifetime. The first Mario Kart I played was Mario Kart DS, to give you a reference. So Mario Kart DS through Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8. And I think it's probably the best one I've been played so far. Also has an open world that's kind of empty and sparse, but it has some stuff to do. Each characters have their own costumes that you can unlock, strictly cosmetic. So you can get Pauline in a spandex suit, which the low-hanging fruit of the internet is very excited about. You can get Luigi in looks like a gi, or kind of everything in between. So that's cool. So it seems like it's fun. And I think the first real Switch 2 game is going to be Donkey Kong Bonanza. Well, I shouldn't say real Switch 2. The first Switch 2 game that I am very interested in is Donkey Kong Bonanza, which comes out next month.
Yeah.
Yep. In the meantime, I haven't played it yesterday, but my friend he gave me his old flight stick, Logitech X52.
Okay.
HOTAS, hands on throttle and stick. So the Logitech X52. So I'll probably be booting up Flight Sim here in the next several days to a week or two and trying that out. You know me and Flight Sim, Sam. We go in flings.
I do.
We go in flings. and I think I'm entering the precipice of another one of those.
Okay.
Yep. Also, Salmon Flight Sim, the Beechcraft Starship came out. Just Google
Whoa.
Beechcraft, one word, Starship, another word. It's a very unique plane. It's a twin propeller plane, but the propellers are in the back of the plane, pointing behind the cabin.
I see. Yes.
Interesting stuff, Sam.
Indeed.
So that's where I've been. That's where I've been in my gaming, and I haven't touched my PlayStation in a while. I still want to play Death Stranding. Still want to play. What was I going to say? Valhalla, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. It's just might happen a year from now. I don't know, Sam.
Got that Astrobot as well,
Right, Astro Kid. Yeah, Astrobot. It's not like we had a Days of Play sale where it was on sale for.
No, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. But Ghost of Tsushima, I think, probably is my most anticipated game of the year on the PlayStation side. I think my most anticipated game of the year period is probably Metroid Prime 4 for obvious reasons. Yeah. Because it's only been delayed for 4 years, so.
Yeah.
Every sort of production. I know a writer of that game. I know a writer. Yeah.
Nice.
What can I say? Sam, if you want to write for Nintendo, let me know. I have an in for you, I guess.
I'm not sure that's quite how it works, but I appreciate it nevertheless.
Yeah. Anyway, Sam, shall we get into the PlayStation news from the guy who doesn't play PlayStation that much lately?
Yeah, let's do it.
No, Toph. Stop that. Okay.
Good old
Scott. Yeah, he tied me up last night.
Whoa.
Yeah. What?
TMI.
I couldn't escape. There's nothing more to it. There's nothing more to it, Sam. He just tied me up.
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay. Oh, God.
It's an and then kind of conversation,
Yeah.
The sentence doesn't end that he tied me up.
Yeah, so Sam made me come back for the first story for me to read, talking about layoffs at Bend Studio, the studio that brought you Days Gone. So last week, at the time of recording, that'll be the week of June 15th is last week, that Bend Studio underwent a round of layoffs where roughly a third of the employees have been laid off, for about 40 people. This comes months after the cancellation of their unannounced live service title, but Bend themselves affirmed in their confirmation that the cuts they have something else in the tank. Quote, as the team shifts focus to its next project, we've made strategic changes to better position the studio for long-term success. As part of this transition, a workforce reduction has taken place at the studio. This decision was not made lightly, and we are extremely grateful for the meaningful contributions of all those impacted. Bend Studio has been a valued part of PlayStation Studios for decades, and we remain confident in its future and creative direction. Blah, blah, blah. Sure. So what I hope happens, Sam, is number one, bad. Number two is this probably isn't going to happen, but, well, as you scale up for this next project of yours, if you're Bend, wouldn't it be not such a bad idea to try to recall some of those really good colleagues that you let go in the first place? But I know that's not how the games industry works. Those colleagues have already found a new project by that point.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, because I'm almost of the opinion now that Bend is just going to be a smaller, obviously smaller, but like just generally a smaller team that doesn't do the big AAA stuff anymore. I don't think they'll be relegated to like a support studio explicitly, but I could see them doing a lot of like co-dev with other studios at PlayStation, or if they are doing their own IP, or I should say, doing their own projects, it will be smaller scale stuff. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because I love Days Gone, but I think that with this, cancellation of their project and the headcount reduction, I guess the silver lining is that these layoff announcements could have very easily been a studio closure announcement, and they're not doing that. So it seems that they do want to keep Bend around, which is good. But yeah, obviously it's going to be, I mean, we've said it before, but it's going to be years before we see anything from Bend. And I think that even then that is a little optimistic. So end of the day, it sucks for anybody to lose their jobs. Yeah. I mean, like they say in the statement, Bend is one of the oldest PlayStation studios. I'm pretty sure PlayStation had Bend before they had Naughty Dog. So obviously not as prolific or as successful necessarily, but that's a lot of lineage, and it would be a shame to continue to lose or diminish it. So fingers crossed we turn things around for Bend. We bend around the corner, so to speak.
Right.
That sounds very optimistic of you, Taylor.
Better than hot take.
Mm-hmm.
Bend has a brighter future than Bungie.
I think I would probably agree. The only counter argument to that is that Bungie have expertise that Bend don't have.
Right.
Bend are supplemental in providing more third-person action adventure that Sony has in spades. Not many other Sony teams, if any, have the live service chops, even if Bungie is in a rocky place right now, no denying. And also, I think a step beyond that, Bungie do have, whether they would be given the leeway to get to it, but they do have a break glass in case of emergency situation where they have a very successful IP in Destiny that if things go really foobar, they could pivot and just go all hands on deck, even though they've said they weren't going to do it, change your opinion and make Destiny 3. Whereas Bend don't really have an IP of their own that's super beloved. Siphon Filter is cool but niche. Days Gone sold well, but I think general perception is that it's mid. So it's nuanced. I think they're both in a difficult spot for different reasons. But they both are certainly studios that have to prove their worth, which is a rough thing to say, but that's sort of just where we're at. Not just with Sony, just with the games industry in general. You kind of have to continually, what have you done for me lately? And if you don't have an answer, then you're probably getting closed. So we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of Bungie, though, Taylor, Marthon has been delayed indefinitely.
What?
Yeah, indefinitely.
What, Sam?
Forever. It's been delayed forever.
Oh, you're serious, Sam. I really didn't read this document close enough before we got on, and I've been tuned out. But oh my God.
Yes. So after a mediocre response to recent playtests and a very public plagiarism scandal, Bungie has now announced that Marthon will no longer release in September as planned. The team are taking extra time to iterate on feedback, to do right by the game and all of that. And they specifically, in this announcement, said that they are planning over the next few months on performing an upheaval on several game elements that the community has commented on, criticized the game on, that kind of thing, which includes adding in proximity chat, improving the experience for solo and duo players, better AI for enemies, environmental storytelling, a deeper, more challenging survival experience, and, quote, a darker tone that delivers on the themes of the original trilogy, end quote. Who knows what that means? And you would assume also, because of the plagiarism, there is going to be, to a degree, an upheaval of the art in the game. Not necessarily art direction or art style, but switching up the actual assets heavily so that they don't even resemble the plagiarized material. And to round out, Bungie affirmed in this announcement that they will provide an update on their progress with these matters this fall. And they are also committing to, at that point, providing a new release date for the game. Are you surprised it got delayed?
No, I'm surprised it was delayed indefinitely. I thought they would have said new release date X.
Yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword nowadays, right? Where, like, you could do that and it would probably instill more confidence. But then if you can't make the changes that you're talking about in that time, you then have to delay again. If it's delayed indefinitely, it doesn't have a new date that it's going to miss. So it makes Marthon look a bit more shaky currently. But it was probably the right call to delay it indefinitely. I would still expect it to be first half of next year.
Mm-hmm.
But then you run into like GTA.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And then you run into everything else. What else is next year? Games coming in 2026.
2026 is insane.
Kirby Air Riders, never forget.
Yeah, I mean, game of the year next year, obviously.
Watch it.
Like, I mean, in terms of PlayStation, you're going to have Marvel Tokon, the fighting game from Arxis. You're going to have Saros from Housemark. You are probably, obviously, now going to be getting Marthon. You could also, depending on if it's not dead, see Fair Games. You would imagine Wolverine is probably next year.
Nope. 007.
Yep, 007. Obviously, GTA.
Oh, wait, no. 007 wasn't confirmed for next year yet. Sorry.
I think it is going to be next year, though.
Yeah, so Resident Evil Requiem. I don't know if that's going to...
I mean, yeah, that's February next year.
Dusk Bloods.
Yeah, another Sony Santa Monica title, which we'll be talking about shortly.
Right. Hollow Knight Silk Song.
That's right, because it's going to get delayed. I like your thinking.
It is. I swear to God, funniest timeline. I can't wait. I mean,
it's fine because we don't have it counted or anything, so we're safe even if it does come out. But like, just have it be delayed. It would be the funniest thing. Yeah, so 2026 is looking pretty crazy, and I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, and and we have Fable coming out next year, right, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, we have that. All of the stuff we just said wasn't even counting the Xbox stuff.
You mean PlayStation?
Phil Spencer said Fable is next year, Gears is next year, Forza is next year, Halo is next year.
Wait, Forza? New Forza Horizon?
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't say that.
He did at the end of the Xbox showcase. He said to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Xbox, which is next year, you're getting Gears of War E-Day, Fable, Forza, and then he said the return of a classic that's been there since the beginning, which is obviously Halo. So you're getting all four of the big four.
Wait, there's a new Halo game?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a remake of Combat Evolved.
What? Wait, did he actually confirm that?
No, but that's what everyone is saying it's going to be.
Because it's going to be 25th anniversary. When did Combat Evolved come out?
with the Xbox, right? Which
Yeah,
is
was that 2001 or 2000?
Yeah, the 25th anniversary of Xbox is next year. So
Yep, they're gonna do it. Well, I love Combat Evolved. I think 343
So do
Guilty
I.
Spark is one of the best missions in video game history.
I mean, it's very good.
You shut up.
Okay.
It's the closest you'll get to a Predator game. Okay, a good
outside
Predator
of
game.
the actual Predator games.
You shh.
Okay.
Shh. Sip. Dr. Evil says, you must sip it. Psh. Sip it
Yep.
good. I have a little bag of shh.
Okay.
With your name on it.
Excellent.
You must sip it. Sip it good.
Mm.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done with my movie references, Sam.
Excellent.
You know me. Okay.
I do know you, Taylor. I do know you. Yeah, so like, I mean, if it was still going to be this year, you would assume they would have probably said that, even if they didn't give a date. They would have said, like, we're still planned to release this year, and we'll give you a date later down the line. But because they haven't given anything, you would assume it's next year, in which case, I don't know, man. I don't know. We had a question which we might as well bring up here.
Do it.
Kyle says, with Marthon being delayed indefinitely and reports that Fair Games is looking less than stellar, do these games ever come out, or do they just cancel them for tax write-offs?
I really hope Fair Games gets canceled. I really do. And all the developers don't lose their jobs. Can these two things happen? Fair Games gets canceled, developers don't lose their jobs. Fair Games is that game was dead since I first saw it. Okay. It's gonna be bad. That's most I can say.
It looked painfully generic, which is not a good thing. I remain open. Like, when they do show it, if they ever show it, I will be open. I won't immediately be like, nah. I'll wait to see what it is offering, but I'm not optimistic. I think we're too far gone with Marthon. I think Marthon does come out. Like, it's been announced, it's had public play tests, and I know that doesn't necessarily prevent it from being cancelled, but I think that they will implement this feedback over the next several months, then release it and try to get some money out of it. It runs for a while, player base tanks, game's dead, and then Bungie move on to something else, whether that is Destiny 3 or something else. I don't know. Because I think that PlayStation just want to assimilate the company at this point, just take full control. And I think that having Marthon come out and underperform is the kind of thing that, again, when they signed those contracts for the acquisition, it was like, if they didn't meet financial targets consistently, Sony could then come in and sort of hostilely take over the full board, oust leadership. I think if Marthon does come out, that gives Sony the opening of the door to do that, get rid of Bungie leadership, and maybe steer the ship around in the right direction. I mean, there's no denying that Bungie talent is still there. It's just that, as has been made very publicly aware to people both inside and outside of the Bungie space, it's leadership that is screwing that company. So we'll see. The Bungie team themselves have said, like, they want to go back to doing some single player stuff, but that was shut down by leadership. So maybe they get rid of Pete Parsons after Marthon, and they do Destiny 3, but then they have a splinter team work on single player stuff. I don't know. But yeah, Fair Games I think is up for contention in terms of cancellation. There could be a world where we never see it again. But then if that does happen, I think Haven is dead as a studio. I don't see them surviving that, especially now that Jade Raymond is gone. Like, it's a good foothold for Canadian talent. Haven, it's their only Canadian studio, which is a boon. But I don't think that would be enough to have them survive a cancellation. So, Marthon does come out. Fair Games. Probably also yes. But I could see a very easy scenario where it's a no. Because I think they've had plenty of opportunities to cancel Fair Games already at this point, alongside all the other things they cancelled, and they haven't. And there has to be a reason for that. So that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Sorry to say.
No apology needed. Am I right, Toph?
Thanks, Toph. Appreciate it.
Toph, you shut the hell up. I'm gonna feed you later. God. Tough stuff.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't get any better, Taylor. Not for the time being.
You kidding me?
No, because this is technically a niche thing, but it's a big deal. Beat Saber is cutting support for both PSVR and PSVR 2, effective immediately.
What? Why? What happened? Did Sony and Beat Saber, someone cheat on someone, Sam?
I don't know. But Beat Games, the developer behind Beat Saber, announced on social media that while they, quote, look to the future and plan the next big leap for Beat Saber, end quote, they are ending all support for PSVR and PSVR 2 players immediately with no new content or updates planned. The games will continue to be playable, and the DLC that has already been released will remain purchasable, but nothing new is on the way. They also said that multiplayer for both platforms will be deactivated on January 21st of next year. In a vacuum, one could argue this is like a niche problem. It's not that big of a deal because the game, you can still play the game. But for like the biggest VR game to walk away from the platform is disconcerting, to say the least. I can't think of any valid reason that would propose the idea that they have to end support in order to achieve this next big leap. Because PSVR 2 especially is a very, very proficient bit of tech. Capable of doing plenty of stuff that other headsets can't. So I don't know why they didn't provide a reason, but I don't like it, Data. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't understand. There must have been some falling out. There is no reason. Let me frame it this way. I think there is no way this would have happened without some massive disagreement, to put it lightly, to have happened between PlayStation and the developers or publishers of Beat Saber. Something happened behind closed doors that rubbed Beat Saber the wrong way. And I don't know, maybe Jason Schreier will give me a new book tomorrow all about how Beat Saber left the PlayStation store.
Maybe. I'd read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange.
Yeah, so, I mean, Sam, you're oppressed right now because Beat Saber's going to leave PlayStation. What are you going to do, Sam?
I mean, it's not going to leave. I can still play it.
All right, very funny.
But I'm just not getting any new music packs, which does make me sad.
Yeah, one more reason to go to PC. You have a new PC. Play it there. Jeez, PSVR 2's on PC now. Sam, please don't make those noises. You know the SpongeBob episode where they're in Bikini They're under Bikini Bottom. What do they call it?
Rock bottom.
Rock bottom, right? That's what you sound like right there.
You.
Yep. Or you could make that mean Dwayne Rock is a bottom. That would be an interesting discussion, wouldn't it?
I'm struggling to process what you just said.
What, Sam? It's the only logical conclusion when you hear the words rock bottom.
I have no idea how that is the logical conclusion.
It's right there. What? Okay, Sam.
If you say so.
Okay. Me and Dwayne, we're tight. All right.
Don't say that you're tight after the last thing you just said.
That's not what I meant, Sam. I'm just saying we're friends.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying. Appreciate
okay. I'll take this next one. You little funny guy. The God of War Metroidvania that reportedly exists is apparently delayed until 2026. So after initially confirming its existence and Jeff Grubb saying it will release this year, Jeff has now claimed it has been pushed to next year. Jeff talked about his fantasy critic lineup. Jeff Grubb should not be able to have a fantasy critic league due to inside betting or insider trading, basically. Jeff said, quote, I have Marthon and the announced God of War project, the unannounced God of War, new God of War Greek project, which I heard was pushed into 2026 as well. Rumors also circulated that it was always set for a 2026 release date, while others claimed it was delayed. But delayed specifically to add voice acting into the game.
Mm.
So cool. Maybe it'll come out before Silksong.
Yeah, because Silksong is coming out in 2027, so I hear.
Yep. That's what they tell me. So I'll take the conjecture, I guess. I remember, was it last year or the year before, when Jeff Grubb got uniquely burned for swearing that Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD would be at a Nintendo Direct, and they never showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he learned his lesson, and I think he did by doing things like this now, where he gives you advance warning. Well, then I guess it's apples and oranges. But anyway, not surprised. Sony made no mention of this God of War Greek game before, so internal delays are just that. And this is still a rumor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 99.9% sure that this is a real thing.
Okay.
Like, there's too many people talking about it now and corroborating that they know that a thing like it exists. It would have been cool if it was an announcement at some point this summer and it released in the fall, but obviously that doesn't appear to be the case. But hey, if you're going to give me a 2.5D God of War Metroidvania in the first few months of next year, sign me out. A little bit of Metroid Dread or like Prince of Persia, Lost Crown action, but in God of War form, power-ups and lots of Greek monsters to fight. Sounds good to me. And hey, Taylor, if the rumors to be believed about the one potential reason for a potential delay being to add voice acting, you know what that means?
What, Chris Judge is coming back? Wait, let me think, Sam.
I'm gonna let you think. You know what it means. Deep within yourself, you know it to be true.
No, not really.
It could mean, Taylor, considering this is a Greek God of War project, that we get TC Carson back.
Oh, wait, that's the guy who voiced Kratos in the first game?
Yeah.
Oh. Is he publicly stated he'd be open to returning?
I mean, not explicitly, but he has been an active part of the 20th anniversary celebrations that just went on.
Okay.
And not that this is like binding, but Chris Judge has said that he wouldn't voice a younger Kratos, specifically because he didn't want to take that opportunity away from TC. So if TC is open to it, this would be the place to do it. And if it's a smaller game, like that's not much for TC to do, because like I don't think he'd be able to quite pull off the same vocal range now, considering his age.
Chester Bennington was able to do it 20 years after. That's not the same thing. I know.
But I get your point though. Like I doubt TC Carson, but I'm also doubting him apprehensively. I like he could do it, but yeah, time will tell. That again, but that does mean that 2026 is looking insane in terms of games.
That's what everyone keeps saying. It's all looking insane, Sam. Wait for the delay, Sam.
Taylor, don't do me like that.
Okay. All right.
Hurting my soul.
But yeah, Sam, we should get the Ubisoft team worked on Prince of Persia: Sands of Lost Crown to work on this one.
That would be the dream. It depends. I guess that's the point. Like, we don't know who is making this thing. Like, it's going to be obviously going to have support from Santa Monica, but from all indications, it's not actually an internal team at Santa Monica making it. That isn't confirmed, so it could end up being, but it seems that it's an external dev that's had the IP license to them.
Okay.
So who knows? I think obviously depending on which developer it goes to, that will dictate the quality. But yeah, giving it to Ubisoft, whichever Ubisoft team that was that did Lost Crown, would be insane. Because Lost Crown, you could slap a Kratos skin on that main character and you're basically playing a God of War version of a Metroidvania. So fingers crossed, it's great. Who am I kidding? I'll be playing it anyway. But we have one final topic.
There you go. All right.
So over the past week-ish, rumors have percolated a little bit about potential acquisition on the horizon for Sony. WB Games, Warner Brothers Discovery themselves. This seems to have originated from a wrestling-centric news site called SE Scoops, who claim that Sony is interested in purchasing the newly spun-off WB streaming and studios business, which is expected to complete its separation from the other sort of cable network section of Warner Brothers in the middle of next year. Before I go on, that obviously, I mean, you should take this with a massive grain of salt anyway, because you don't really hear about acquisition stuff before it happens. But SE Scoops, being wrestling centric, have done a lot of coverage specifically of Warner Brothers news and business dealings because of their involvement in network television and streaming and of wrestling. So they do have a good track record on that side. It's just whether they actually would know about Sony coming in. But anyway, if they did acquire this WB streaming and studios business, it would include, quote, Warner Brothers Discovery's HBO Max streaming service, IPs, and its gaming assets, end quote. As such, Sony would gain their own streaming platform, which, aside from anime-centric services like Crunchyroll and Aniplex, is that the other one?
Plex?
No. Funimation, right? That's it.
Funimation, Toei, I thought they shut down. No, they didn't.
Or they might have merged it with Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I think they did. Let's see. Funimation merger. Funimation merger. Yep. Wait.
Yeah.
Funimation. According top result is Reddit. Cool. I don't know if they've merged, but I think all the Funimation content is now on Crunchyroll.
Right, transitioned over. So yeah, Sony would gain their own streaming platform for non-anime content, which is interesting. That means they wouldn't have to give their projects away to Netflix or whatever. And they would also gain access to, at the very least, through licensing agreements, various high-profile IP and a number of well-known game development studios. Those studios, the core ones, are Avalanche Software, who made Hogwarts Legacy, NetherRealm Studios, who do Mortal Kombat and Injustice, Rocksteady for the Batman Arkham games and Suicide Squad, Traveler's Tales, TT Games for the Lego titles, and Warner Brothers Montreal for Gotham Knights. And though Monolith as a studio has been closed, Warner Brothers does still currently hold the license to the Nemesis system that was buried alongside Monolith. So that would inherently go to Sony as well. So they could use that for games, which would be cool. And again, talking about the IP, Sony would net these IP, which Warner Brothers Discovery is currently centering around, which is Mortal Kombat, DC, Game of Thrones, and Harry Potter. As I said earlier, the Warner Brothers cable network is a separate entity after this split, and it would not be part of the deal. It's also reported that the majority of Warner Brothers' current debt is being burdened on the cable network side, not the games and streaming division. And they note that that would therefore make this new division a far more enticing prospect to any potential purchasers, Sony or otherwise. What do you think, Taylor? Do you think it's likely? And how would you feel about it if it did happen?
Nah, I don't really want it to happen, Sam. Why do we need more mergers? Please, God. As much as I don't like capitalism, I like it less when large companies keep merging until we have nothing left. So I would prefer if, well, let me rephrase. I wouldn't mind it so much if Warner Bros. Games was purchased by PlayStation. Well, let me frame it another different way. I don't want Rocksteady to go under. So whichever way preserves them. Well, and there's W Games Montreal. I don't want HBO to get bought by Sony. I don't want that to happen. I don't want the TV side of things to get more consolidated. On the games side, if it was a Bungie-like arrangement, I could see it being okay. I mean, I want more Batman games, and I don't know how much Warner Bros. Corporate really wants to keep throwing money at it. Granted, I don't know who thought Suicide Squad was going to be a great idea, and how it was designed. If the studios can keep their independence, I'm okay with it, but I would like this not to happen just from the standpoint of more mergers. I don't see benefiting everyone. So that's my long-winded, inexact answer.
No, it's good. I'm pretty much right there with you. Like, I will remain consistent in, as we both have, that a consolidation is a bad thing. Not a fan of it for various reasons. This seems unlike Sony, but I guess the way I would view it if it were to happen, which I'm not confident it would, would be in the same position as like Bethesda was before they got bought by Xbox, right? Where Bethesda was a renowned company, made hit games, and then they took a turn and tried doing different things, most of them sort of live servicey outside of the realm of their expertise. Fallout 76, Wolfenstein Youngblood, yada, 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 Redfall. And they were trending downwards, and then Xbox saved them when they were at arguably probably the cheapest price they were ever going to be in terms of an acquisition. And it's looking like that's the case for Warner Brothers. Sort of as the article said, it's like if somebody is going to be interested in buying Warner Brothers games, like now would probably be the time, because I don't know that it's going to get any worse than this for them, considering all the stuff they've cancelled and where the studios are. I mean, Hiroki Totoki said that Sony's future acquisitions would be IP focused, which this fits in line with. You know, getting Mortal Kombat and DC and Game of Thrones and Harry Potter, that's obviously, you know, goes without saying, a very big deal. But like you say, how does that work? Do the games remain multi-platform? I don't know. I think Sony would, at best, probably play fast and loose with that. Like even, I can't remember when it was, whether it was earlier this year or late last year. Might have even been earlier than that. My brain is fried. But I don't know whether you remember, there was that rumor that, like, it's confirmed that Rocksteady is working on a new Batman game.
Right.
There was a rumor circling that PlayStation were trying to lock that down as a PlayStation exclusive. Which, if you couple that with this, kind of adds at least a percentage of legitimacy to the idea of both. But it seems, not that Sony can't afford it, because of course they can. I mean, it wouldn't be a cash on hand deal, but they can buy realistically whoever they want, obviously facing scrutiny and legal and all that, but they can try to acquire whatever they want. I don't know. It depends on their perspective, because they would have to do the legwork to build this company back up, because it's in a, like we say, like a weakened position right now. So would they be willing to do that when they've had the issues with Bungie and with acquiring teams sight unseen like Haven and like Firewalk? I don't know. But then you look at the IP that they would get, and it's like, well, you could argue that that IP is worth the pain, because DC, Harry Potter, especially those two, are megaton. Game of Thrones, I think, less so, and Mortal Kombat is a bit rocky now, but Sony own Evo. So if they had NetherRealm as a first-party team explicitly, or just via acquisition as a separate entity, they would have Mortal Kombat and Injustice as their game at their fighting tournament, alongside Marvel Tokon.
Yeah, I completely forgot that NetherRealm is owned by Warner Bros. You're right.
Yeah. So it's like that there's, I don't like it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it makes a lot of sense. You're buying a company in a position of weakness when their value is probably at an all-time low, and you're looking to garner IP in a new era where that is the most important thing. IP is the most important thing, and the proliferation of that IP. And with how big Sony is about multimedia and having TV shows and films of their projects, having that cross-media potential with all of those IP. Mortal Kombat has its films. DC obviously has films. Game of Thrones has the show and spin-offs. Harry Potter has the films and now a new TV show, etc. Like, there's a lot of potential for Sony at large, not just PlayStation, with this kind of acquisition. And being frank, of the big three, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, like Warner Brothers seems most at home with PlayStation.
I don't know about that.
I mean, they wouldn't belong at Nintendo, and they have very little history or attachment to Xbox.
Why not?
Obviously, well, I mean, they released their games there.
Yeah.
But PlayStation has state of plays for Hogwarts Legacy, state of plays for Suicide Squad, has the marketing rights for Batman Arkham Knight. You know,
Okay.
like, again, they have Evo, which is where Mortal Kombat and Injustice are showcased a lot of the time.
All right, I understand. I just remember a lot of people playing Arkham City on the 360.
For sure, and I'm not saying that, but I think that, and especially like if you look at Batman Arkham and Hogwarts Legacy, those are third-person action-adventure games, which is Sony's wheelhouse above all else. They don't need more of it, but I'm saying that it would be most at home there. So who knows? Again, like if this split between Warner Brothers and it's happening middle of next year or finalizing middle of next year. So it would be very, very, very peculiar to hear about the idea of an acquisition this far out, if at all. But I think there are enough breadcrumbs where you're like, I can see there are inevitably a lot of interested entities surrounding this division, no doubt. And I'm sure Sony is one of them. But time will tell. And to round out, I mean, actually, this kind of rolls into what I was talking about, but we'll mention it because it was a question that was submitted. Ty from Discord said, Sony buying Warner Brothers would make sense if they're obtaining everything, HBO and games, which is what would be involved, or HBO Max, sorry, the service, not HBO as a network. Could Sony's approach in acquiring video game companies hinge more on what else can you do for the Sony ecosystem as opposed to just PlayStation? Think of Kadokawa and how that purchase would not only benefit PlayStation, but its other divisions. Yeah, I mean, that's not a exclusive thing to Sony, in my opinion. That's like anybody weighing up acquisitions is inevitably going to lean towards acquisitions that benefit the entire entity rather than a single vertical within that entity. I would still say, though, that PlayStation is Sony's most profitable vertical, like their biggest vertical. So as much as Kadokawa, like you say, and Warner Brothers would inherently be massively beneficial outside of PlayStation, I don't think that the PlayStation side of it can be written off either. Because even if we are going into a future where consoles, in terms of ecosystems, are becoming irrelevant, or more irrelevant, I should say, there isn't a future where PlayStation isn't still a massive player in the games industry, a driving player. So yes, they will look for something that benefits them overall. But if it is something specific, like a game developer, solely a game developer that would benefit PlayStation, they aren't going to turn their noses up at that, just because of a few whiffs, in my opinion.
Yep, agree.
Well, Taylor, I think that does it.
Thanks so, Sam. Thank you all so much for listening. Whoops.
I'm derailing your outro.
All good. Good discussion.
Sorry, you can do your outro now.
All good. Thank you all so much for listening. You can find us on YouTube at Save the Game Media. Discord links are on the show notes. Where can people find you, Sam?
Anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, HEANEY.
All right. You can find me at TPR pound 6868 on Xbox, where I only play Flight Sim on Xbox. And you can find me as Mr. Carter9 on PSN. That's MrCarternine. Taylor in the Discord. Yep. Till next time. Goodbye.
Peace.